and having a good Sunday. So I wanted to talk to you guys about a common couple experience, which is unavailability. And so a lot of times, well, let me tell you how this came about first. I'm actually going to be training some coaches on a key characteristic that we have to have, which is being available. And then it got me thinking about the patterns that I see in couples a lot of times, and what ends up happening in relationships and how it gets that way. And so, a lot of times, what happens in relationships is there is a certain amount of unavailability from person to person. And why does that happen? Well, a reason to me that that happens is, well, there's several reasons, but a couple of the reasons are um, is something to do with us being able to do our own work on the inside when we go into the relationship. And so often we get into these relationships and we haven't really done our own personal work, and so we're just having the relationship come in and resolve what it is that we are going through. um, and so even though the relationship might feel good to us, long term, we can't be available to the relationship in order for us to make a difference or a positive influence in our relationship. So that's the struggle. That's kind of where it all starts. And what I want to be able to give you guys today is, well, how do I actually build on being available? And I think it's useful if we can just talk about like what the initial concept of availability even was. So availability actually comes from this Latin word which is called valere. And in that concept, there's you kind of hear it a little bit like um, there's a concept of strong and power and worth that the initial idea came from. And then after that, it had some kind of Middle English type of influence, and it started changing to a valley or a veil. And that concept started meaning like advantage or benefit or profit. And so if you think about the idea of availability, it means like, can you be of value? Can you be of strength? Can you be of worth? Can you be of power to somebody else? And so, how do you become that? And that really is the challenge, I think, in our relationships is, how do I become more available for the person? And I think the first look and where people usually try to go to is they try to go to, oh, I could be available um, by giving more time, or I can be available by saying more things, or lending an ear, which I think those are all useful ways to be available. But the real available happens if we go back to the origins of what availability is. For you to be strong and be powerful and for you to be of worth to somebody else, the real availability is for you to be able to actually prepare yourself that way. Okay. And so, us being able to prepare ourselves that way means that we almost got to define it differently. So, I'm going to give you a definition that I want you to be able to use, which is that availability is actually us being an option for strength and empowerment to somebody else. And in our relationships, it would also include connection. So us being available to that. Well, how do we do that? In order for us to do that, we would need to do our internal work. And our internal work, if we're really doing it, will allow us to be a whole lot more fruitful for our partner and be able to give ourselves an opportunity to be able to serve more inside of our relationship. It's so difficult though if you skip the steps. So just like, and I like using the idea of a tree so you could have a picture painted in your mind. Just like a tree, like seeds have to get planted and then it needs time to be able to be cultivated and grow. If you don't do that for yourself, like, what kind of things are you planting in your mind? It's the music you listen to, it's the conversations that you have, um, it's the things that you watch, it's all those things that you have coming inside of your mind. And the more that you are pumping the right things in your mind, then the better you're going to be. And that's because you're planting the right seeds. Planting the right seeds ends up giving you the ability to be more of a strength for somebody else. And so in your relationship, if you struggle to be available to your partner in an emotional, mental, physical, spiritual way, you can go back to those things. What kind of influences do I have? What kind of seeds am I planting that are really stopping me from being available? Okay. And so there are so many different things that happen and outcomes in the relationship. But I think let's just start here with this idea that says, let me actually build on my ability to be available and serve my partner and see where it takes me. All right, you guys enjoy your weekend and we'll talk to you soon.